Okay, so when we left off last time, I think you had just gotten to California, right?
I don't recall.
Yes, you had just gotten to California. So, what year did you come to California?
Oh, I don't remember.
Well, it was. When do you think it was? It was after the war.
What?
Was it after the war?
Oh, yes. And the war had ended, and I had worked for quite a while in Hartford and also in the Robert Street Market I'd say about 10 years after the war.
Right. Okay. So it was in the early 50s, do you think?
Well,
Must have been in the early 50s or late 40s?
what?
Late 40s or early 50s?
Yeah.
All right. So what did you tell us about your first impressions of California?
Well, I came on the train, and when it got light in the morning, I was very much impressed with the palm trees and deserts.
I see. So where did you live when you first came to California?
I stayed with Esther.
And where was that?
In Southgate.
Okay. And what was it like there?
Oh, well, actually, it was Huntington Park at that time. I mean, she didn't move to Southgate till after she married Ed. But Huntington Park was a really nice little town. It had everything you needed, and it was quiet, but now it's practically slums. All these illegal alien and a lot of colored people and all that. But at that time, it wasn't that way.
I see. And did you get a job when you got here? What did you do?
Yeah, I went to the unemployment office, and they found me a position. I went to work for Aaron Gordon, who was a insurance broker, and was a bookkeeper.
Now, did you work in Southgate or did you work in some other part of the
No,
city?
I worked in Huntington Park.
I see. And what was your job at the insurance place?
Well, I was in charge of everything that had to do with billing the people and collecting the dues and banking and just about everything, that you normally would do. We also had a secretary who did the letters and so forth.
And how did you get to work?
Walked. It was only a couple blocks.
Oh, I see. Okay. So what was life like then? What did you do for fun? Did you go to the beach or did you travel around? Or
Well, we usually would go to the beach on Saturday or Sunday, and then I also started going to the dance. They had a dance hall at the top of the Bank of America building, and there meet different people. And
I see. So did you have various boyfriends when you first got here?
Then they would take you home, and you'd have a date or two.
Oh, I see. And so how long did you live with Esther?
Well, till she got, more or less till she got married, I guess. Or maybe I had moved into a place of my own, and It was in the back of a house. It was a very nice room with a kitchen and a fancy bathroom, and next door were a, a girl that worked at Esther's office shared it with me.
I see. And this was still in Huntington Park.
Yes.
And then you said Esther got married then?
Well, more or less, I think so, because yeah, I can't think of any other reason.
Okay.
And then Aaron Gordon decided he was going to move to the west side. And and I decided I'd move too.
Mm-hmm.
And we had an office on La Brea near Beverly. And I found an apartment.
And where was that apartment located?
At Sycamore and Beverly Boulevard.
I see. And I remember seeing this building. It was a big, tall, very kind of old-looking place.
Yeah, it was. But actually, the apartment was actually very small compared to the big apartments. They'd been this servants' quarters, So they had taken 2 bedrooms. One was the living room and the bathroom, and the other was the kitchen.
Oh, I see.
But it had a lovely garden outside, and it was very nice. And we had full maid service. They cleaned every week and brought in, furnished the bedclothes and towels and everything. That was all included for $65 a month.
Oh, I see. So you worked close by on La Brea.
Yeah.
And then what was life like in Hollywood?
Well, what do you mean, like?
What did you do? What you worked at?
Oh, I used to go to the classes at Hollywood High School or Los Angeles High School on Olympic, and I don't know.
What classes did you take?
Well, mainly different art classes. I also took some literature, various specials. In those days, the schooling was free, but you paid 25 cents for the lights and the heating, but there were no fees for the classes. Everything was free in those days. When I had lived in Huntington Park, that's when I started taking art classes, and there too.
Oh, I see.
I took painting and drawing, and
I see. And this was something you were interested in then.
Yeah, I liked. Well, when I was living in Stillwater, I started taking a class at the high school that it was painting, sort of the primitive type paintings on wood plates and stuff, and I liked it. I mean, I wanted to really study art, so I, I started here in California.
Yeah. And it's interesting, Esther also painted too. Was she also interested in art at the time?
Who?
Esther.
Well, she only got interested after I'd been doing it for some time.
Oh, I see. Okay. So you started getting interested in it, and then Esther also got interested in it as
Yeah.
well. And so Esther moved over to, she married Ed, and did they move to 6th Street then? When did they move to 6th Street?
Well, they had a house in Southgate, and then Ed bought this apartment house on down near Western Avenue and 6th, and they had the penthouse. It was a very nice apartment.
Yeah, I remember going to that penthouse, yeah. So they managed that building there. Great. And so so you're working at the insurance company, and then you were going to art classes, and this is where you met David, right?
Yeah.
And tell us about that.
Well, there was nothing to tell. I mean, we got along very well, and we used to we had more or less the same interests, and we'd go out sketching sometimes, or go to the beach, and we would go to the nice restaurants. You wouldn't believe it, but we did. I mean, like the Brown Derby and the
Lowry's?
Ambassador Hotel, and
I see. So was he a motion picture cameraman there, or what was his job at the time?
he was working pretty regularly then, mainly at MGM.
I see. And he would also go to these art classes, even though he was an artist. I don't know.
Well, he liked to keep his can't call it finger, but he liked to be able to draw, and there were live models. And
Oh, I see. So he would have an opportunity to paint and art stuff. Do you remember some of your teachers at the time?
what?
Who were your teachers, the art teachers?
Well, I don't remember the names.
Yeah.
There were different ones. There was one for the watercolor class, and the painting class. There was Miss Schuster, who she was sort of she was always full of charcoal. I mean, her face was always, I mean, she was sort of messy, but she knew how to draw and would teach you. And in fact, she invited me to go with her to Yosemite and do some sketching, but I couldn't get off from work. I mean, my vacation time I always spent in Minnesota. So.
Oh, I see. So you would go back to Minnesota on the train? And how many times do you think you went back to Minnesota?
Every year.
Every year. Oh, you went back and visit your mother and stuff. And had Mildred come out here as well by then?
Oh, they'd been out. They were out here way before they came. During the war, Lewis was working in the defense.
Oh, I see. Right. Okay. So they were already out here. So the three sisters were the ones the three sisters, you, Esther, and Mildred were out here in California.
Yeah, and Hilder.
Oh, and Hilder.
Yeah.
Oh, what was she doing?
She was, her last job was she had been working in New York City, but then she met Lawrence, and they got married, and then they moved back here to California, and she worked as secretary for Dr. Powell at UCLA, and So other than that, there was just, the three sisters.
Right. I get it. So, this David was kind of an interesting character then, right? He had lots of interesting interests and
Yeah. And he knew, and he was one of these people that could pick up strange people. I mean, he had a strange collection of friends. He had the boys, which are the Jewish builders, and we used to meet on Saturday morning at farmer's market for lunch or brunch. And then he had Mrs. Kepler, who had been a very socialite. Her husband was instrumental in promoting the Miracle Mile, but apparently he lost everything, and she was sort of poor now, but she was sort of an art. She always was interested in art, and through her we met other people. He had a nephew who lived in Pasadena, and also she was a friend of what's her name? Oh, I can't think of it now. But they had she the wife was interested in theatrical work, so they had the children's program at Hollywood High School for the little kids, and I remember taking you, and you were scared to death. That was before Pamela's born.
I see. Okay, so
and her nephew had a son who was taking piano. Meanwhile, you were studying at the music school at Beverly Hills, and he wanted to find a good piano teacher, and that's they recommended Turner.
Oh yeah, that was that. But yeah, you're getting a little ahead of things here. So when did you guys decide to get married?
Oh, I don't know. It's just I don't know. It's sort of gradual. I mean,
but do you know when you guys got married?
Huh?
When did you guys get married?
When?
When? Yes.
Oh, I'd have to look it up.
1952?
I don't know.
3? Well, the Oldsmobile was a 1954, but you'd gotten it 1 year old, so it would have been gotten in 1955. How long?
No, but he had another car before that.
And what was that?
It was an old Packard.
Packard, not a Buick?
What?
Not a Buick?
No,
a Packard. Oh, I see. But you were married before you got that car, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you were probably married 2 years before? 1 year?
I don't.
You don't remember? Okay. And so did you move in together? What's this picture? This is a picture of you in front of Hoover Dam?
Yeah.
So tell us what happened when you got married.
Huh?
Tell us what happened when you got married.
Oh, what happened?
Well, you went to Las Vegas, it looks like.
Well, it was fine. I mean, we had good meals, and David would shoot craps and come back with enough to pay for their dinner and shows and that sort of thing.
So you drove out there? It was just the two of you, or did someone come along?
No, Esther and Ed went with us.
Ah, okay.
Well, but they went back, and we stayed on, and then we went to San Francisco, spent another. Actually, the reason we got married at Christmas was because David wasn't work. They had the holidays off, so we had a week or so, to.
Oh, I see. Right. And so, where did you get married?
What?
Where did you get married?
Oh, in a little they have these wedding chapels. And when we got our license, the clerk was, oh, what a clean record we both had. And there were no previous marriages.
Oh, I see. None of you had been married before. All right. And so then you went to San Francisco for your honeymoon. And then where did you guys live after you got married?
What?
Where did you live after you got married?
Oh, we were looking around, and David found this apartment about 2 blocks from where we were. It was a studio apartment, double, height, and a stairway going up, and it was partially furnished, and it had a nice big patio with a fish pond, and it was nice. But then after, you were born, there weren't supposed to be any children there. But then when I got pregnant with Pamela, then we really had to move. And that's when we started looking for a house.
Oh, I see. So let's see. So you were probably married around 1952 or 3, I'm guessing. And then
Yeah.
I wasn't born until 1957.
Oh. That's the year we were born?
I was born in 1957.
No, I had worked for 3 years at Aaron Gordon's in Los Angeles, and I don't know.
So you stayed working after you got married?
Yeah.
I see. Okay. But then you keep working? You didn't keep working after you got
Well, when you were going to be born, I quit.
Right. Okay.
I mean, so then I never worked till
much later. Yes.
till you kids were grown up.
Right. Okay. But so you guys moved into this nice apartment, and then gradually. So first I came. So tell me about my birth. What happened? What do you remember from that?
I don't know. When I thought I was pregnant, we decided we better find a doctor, and I had no idea. I never went to a doctor all my whole life, and but David had this operation on his for his ulcers. Is where they cut the vagus nerve. So he went to Dr. Brown. He had a medical group. Was in Beverly Hills on Lasky Drive, and he said, well, he didn't do children births and that, but he would find me a doctor. So he recommended a doctor. I can't think of his name. And did he recommended pediatricians, and when we had all our medical things with them.
So this was all these Beverly Hills doctors.
What?
All these were Beverly Hills doctors.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, but what time what did you make? How did you decided you needed to go to the hospital? Tell us about all that.
Well, the doctors arranged that, and both you and Pamela were born in Good Samaritan Hospital, sort of downtown.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know.
So how big was I when I was born?
What?
How big was I when I was born?
Normal. 7.5, 8. I don't know. Somewhere around 7 pounds is something.
Oh, okay. So normal size.
Right, yeah.
So when you were pregnant with Pam, then you decided you'd look around for a new house,
Yeah.
or for a house.
So we spent the whole summer going to all these open, places. We wanted a place that was convenient to all the studios, because then by that time television had taken over and the jobs weren't steady like they used to be. Before you'd have a contract and you'd work at the studio. But then it reached the point where you just work for the days or a couple of weeks, or if you're lucky you got on a picture.
I see. Here's a picture that shows you guys. That looks like me there, right?
Yeah, that's you.
And where are you there? This is
Dr. Sharini, and he was a friend of David's from the Adventures Club. His daughter got married, and they had a fancy wedding.
Oh, I see. So you're at a wedding. What did you guys do? Would you go to movies? Did you go to things associated with the studios? What did you do for fun in those days?
We didn't go out too much. We went to movies, and Pamela was very, very shocked to know that there was this little theater there on La Brea. I think it was called what is it? I can't remember the name now. We used to go to the movie, and we'd take you in the stroller. I never had a babysitter. And we'd leave the stroller and you asleep in the lobby, and the girl that took us would watch.
You'd give them a little tip, and then they would watch the baby.
Yeah.
They'd watch the baby while you went inside and saw the movie. Yeah, that's pretty amazing. You probably wouldn't do that nowadays.
What?
You wouldn't do that nowadays. But didn't you?
No, it was perfectly safe. I mean, everything was perfectly safe. You could go anywhere, day or night, and feel perfectly comfortable taking public transportation.
Really? Did you get to go to any movie events and things like that?
When they had openings, we'd go to those, and
I see. And did you get to meet movie stars and
oh
things?
yes.
Tell us about that.
Well, when David had worked on Guys and Dolls for that long time, they had a big party, and I actually danced with Marlon Brando.
Wow, that's great. Not too many people can say that.
Yeah.
So what sort of work did David work on? I know he would sometimes go on location, but also he would work on, he even worked at, I know he said at the Music Hall Theater right near
Yes.
in Beverly Hills. So
when we were first married, he was working on the Liberace show.
I see.
And that was photographed at the music hall. That was when it was just one big theater.
Mm-hmm. I see. But what other famous movies did he work on?
Oh, How the West Was Won.
Mm-hmm.
The Greatest Story Ever Told, and Spartacus. I mean, and in the Danny Kaye movies. And then he also worked on these TV programs. They used to, they didn't, they would film the episodes, and the Jack Benny Show and the Grace and Allen,
Mm-hmm.
and then they would show them to an audience, just for the people who worked on it, and also they wanted a laugh track and so forth.
So you guys were supposed to laugh.
Like it was so we used to go to those quite often.
Oh, I see. And then, so you spent the whole summer looking around for places to live.
Yeah.
And so how did you decide upon living in Beverly Hills?
Well, we were looking at a place in Hollywood, and David met this real estate man, and he specialized in probates. He'd go downtown and get a list of all the property was coming up, and so there was no reason why we looked in all around this area. We had no idea that Beverly Hills was, I mean, it was just another town as far as we were concerned. But he said he had found this house, and it was up for $17,000, yeah. And he said, you don't even have to look at it. In fact, it was impossible to look at it, hardly. We could see it from the outside, but they wanted a niece to buy, to get it for, very cheaply, but it had to be probated, and then it had to be on a public auction. So David had to go down and bid on it, and you had to pay cash right then. And then we had this mess trying to get his papers from the Army showing he was a California vet, and they had to. So we got and at that time, they would only have a mortgage for the 25,000. That was the limit. The house couldn't be worth more than that, and this fit in just perfectly.
Oh, I see. So he got they had a California Veterans VA loan program, right?
Yeah.
I see.
And that was a good loan, about 2%, 2.7, and I don't know. It worked out fine.
But as I recall, then he also did a lot of remodeling on the house to try to get it ready.
Yeah, we had to do all the electrical work and put in sinks. I mean, the whole kitchen. I mean, yeah, everything had to be. It was in very bad
shape. So it was remodeled quite a bit, and
we paid more for the remodeling than we did for the house.
Right. And then my understanding is that you guys were working on the house while you were pregnant, and he would come after work and do work on the remodeling, right?
Yeah. Yeah, he would supervise. In fact, he got a contractor's license so he could buy stuff wholesale, and he would hire his own people.
Oh, I see. I heard he also hired some of your nephews, right?
And?
He hired some of your nephews to work too.
Well, he hired Lewis, who is brother-in-law.
Okay.
He worked for a while, and he also would hire the Stokes' boys. They, to clean up and so forth. They were neighbors across the street. She had 4 kids, and they were happy to work after school.
You didn't have Larry or
What?
Didn't Larry work on the house too?
Who?
Cousin Larry? Mildred's boys?
Larry was too young.
Oh, really?
I don't know if Jay ever.
Oh, really? Okay, I didn't know. I thought they worked
No.
on the house. Okay.
Well, maybe Jay had helped his father.
Okay.
But Lewis, we paid him full salary, for his work.
Oh, I see. Okay. And so how long did it take to get the house ready?
Well, about 6 months.
I see. And then we moved in, and then Pam was born, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So just in time.
Huh?
So we moved in just in time before Pam was born.
And I remember I didn't know what to do with you when I had to go to the hospital. So I had my mother, I paid for her trip to California to stay with you because David was working.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember staying with Grandma.
Yeah?
So that's a pretty early memory.
You 2 years old?
Yeah, I remember obviously getting separated from your mom is something you probably remember. So yeah, I remember waiting and asking her when you were going to come back. Great. So then we have Pam and David, so what was life like in those early days when we were kids? Did we go places?
Not too much. We never had babysitters, so we the neighborhood kids would wanted you to go to Sunday school with them, so off you went. And we didn't go out much. I mean, we'd go visiting to Mildred's or Esther's or something like that. But yeah, we were pretty much home all the time.